At this point you have to rotate the crankshaft, and you have to manually rotate the crankshaft, and you have to check does the tension everywhere is good. What basically I'm doing, I put only the bolt in, and using the 19mm brake bar I am rotating the crankshaft, and I want to check 2 complete cycles, and also I'm checking the tension on the belt itself, on the timing belt. So I'm taking the brake bar with 19mm socket on it, and I'm rotating the crankshaft clockwise, counterclockwise. So everything seems to be fine for me. So after I made 2 complete cycles, I can see that this green mark is in the center on the right camshaft, and the same on the left camshaft. It's aligned completely in the middle, and the crankshaft is in the middle. Right now you can remove the bolt, install the pulley, install the motor mount, and start assembling everything back on. So the first thing that you need to install after you make sure that the tension is good everywhere, not more than half of the slack, you have to install the motor mount, because motor mount mounted on the 3 bolts, 3 long bolts on top and 1 short bolt in the bottom. Motor mount should be installed first, because the timing belt cover is actually covering the motor mount. That's why I proceed to installation of the motor mount. Mount bracket is installed. The next step is the lower cover of the timing belt. But before installing the lower cover, you need to put this washer. This washer, you have to put him back. Then you need to put the lower timing cover back on. And after you will put the lower timing belt cover, which looks like this, you can put the pulley on top and put this stubborn bolt back. After you install the low timing belt cover, you can put you need to put 4 screws. To be honest, I think that is 5 screws, which is holding the lower timing belt cover. When you're done, you need to put the pulley and you need to put the bolt. The next step that you need to do, you have to put this bolt, which is holding the wire harness connectors. He mounted on a motor mount and he covered it with a power steering. So make sure that you put the small bolt, and the next step you have to put the power steering back on, which is mounted on 2 bolts. The wire harness bolt is mounted back on. The next step is the power steering, which is holding on 2 bolts. I recommend you using the zip-locks, so when you're removing a part, you just put in the bolts into the zip-locks and you put the name on top of the zip-lock for which these bolts are actually belonging to. Hold on, no. First of all, you need to put the lower timing belt cover, the upper left timing belt cover and upper right timing belt cover, because power steering, some of the bolts are blocking with the bolts which is lower upper left timing belt cover is mounted to. So firstly you have to put the left upper timing belt cover on, and then you can put the power steering on. The left timing belt cover is installed. Proceed to the installation of the power steering. 2 bolts. One bolt is located there, and the second bolt is located there. To install the power steering back on, plug the coils back, 3 of them from one side and 3 of them from the other side, and then give a try. Try to start the engine, because if there is something wrong, you will be able to fix it without being deassembling everything back. Before starting the engine, make sure that you tight the pulley bolt. Because you don't want your pulley to fly away. So the first start of the vehicle after reinstalling the timing belt. Connect the negative battery terminal. It will be just a short start because alternator is not connected and we just starting on the battery itself. The battery was already on. So since we started on the battery, all this time alternator didn't produce any energy and battery is almost discharged already. That's why we have to install the driving belt back on. After we checked that the engine starts and operates perfectly, we install the right upper timing belt cover. To install it, you need to pull this out from your way using the 25-inch brake bar. So you will be able to fit it in. The next step, after you installed it, you need to install the motor mount, which is attached to the body of the vehicle. This piece. The next step, you need to install the driving belt, which looks like this. When the driving belt is installed, you have to lower the engine, and when you lower in the engine, you have to match the actual motor mount and put the 2 bolts together. This is pretty much it. And the last step, you have to put the brain box back. There is like a lot of screws, which is holding it. It's approximately 7 screws. The last step, you have to mount the brain box back. those two bolts are long bolts. This is a short bolt which are mounting the high pressure AC line. Then you have to put the bucket with brake fluid back on.